Arsenal win back possession, and it's broken nicely to Cazorla, 30 metres from goal, plays it to the edge of the area. Alexis Sanchez goes for goal and scores. That's a brilliant goal from Alexis Sanchez. He's been Arsenal's star man this season, and maybe now they're going to get the right.
Summertime. Mike.
Eardrum is just broken. What's up, man?
Hey, it's been a while. We haven't talked to each other for months.
For months. It's been since 3 weeks ago.
I know.
But hey, man, how you been?
I'm good. How have you been?
I'm happy now. We've got some good news today, which we'll talk about. But how have you been spending all your newfound free time without the hour per minute per week that we spend on this show? Any new hobbies or anything like that?
Just reading novels, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Yeah. What have you been doing?
I've been spending some time phasing in. I'm trying something new for the summer. I'm going with the no-carb diet.
Okay.
Because, things were getting a little out of hand. But I figured out a way I could hopefully lose some weight because I don't want to die during season 2 unless we can guarantee it's going to be on one of the podcasts live. But I am actually going to be able to increase my Baconator consumption, so I found a way to kind of do both with the no carb, high protein diet. So I'm a fucking genius, and I've been just spending all my time doing that.
Speaking of Baconators, Mike, cat's out of the bag. You owe 181 people the Baconator fries.
Okay, there are two things I have to say about that. One is I should have never given you the password to our Twitter account, because you have been using and abusing it all summer long. And two, I am carb free, so I can't get anywhere near Baconator fries to send them to people. I mean, I hope that you 181 people will understand that I'm looking after my health now. And so I can't get that. I actually Googled, is it legal to send French fries through the mail last week? And I couldn't really get a solid yes or no on it. So, but I can't get near them. So we're going to have to maybe go double or nothing on the next one.
Yeah. And
great idea you had.
God forbid we signed Mbappe, then you're totally fucked.
Well, but if we sign Lamar, which is looking less doubtful, I don't know if you saw that one, but you're on the hook for some serious shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my goal is to be a piece of ass by the festive period. That's the official goal. I'm going to look like Giroud will look when he's 44 years old, which probably isn't going to be as pretty as he looks now. But that was it. I was very American yesterday. I spent my 4th of July holiday taking in a couple baseball games over the weekend or over the Monday and Tuesday with my wife and son. Stayed downtown and then basically passed out at 7 o'clock last night and slept through the actual fireworks that were 3 blocks away from me. So that's been my summer in a nutshell. How's the kid going?
Kid's doing good. He he just sleeps, eats, and poops. As I've said before, there's nothing really exciting about the kid at the moment.
That's what I have in common with the boy already.
Yeah.
We're still undefeated since he came into the world, by the way.
We really are. We've three wins out of 3, and and since he's been alive, we've also signed our world or our club broken our club transfer fee. That took me a while to get out.
That took almost longer than the whole lead up to the transfer being announced took, which is saying something. But yeah, I was dreaming of a French goal scoring machine last night, and my dreams came true.
Yeah, I mean, we signed Alexander Lacazette for a club record.
Let's get this right. It's Alexandre.
Oh, okay.
It's not Alexander.
Is it? Does he actually go just by Alex?
Well, he's going to have to if he's on Arsenal because everyone else on the team is named Alex.
Ain't that the truth? So, Mike, your first kind of thoughts on the signing. Are you excited? Are you thinking, oh, well, he's not better than what we have? I mean, break it down for me.
Oh, I'm 100% excited. I mean, I mean, we were linked with him for most of the beginning half of last summer as well, at slightly lower prices, not too much lower, which is kind of surprising given the inflation that's occurred. But I wanted him then. I kind of wanted him the summer before, actually, when I think we actually played against him in the preseason against Lyon, and he was being talked about then. So I mean, I've coveted the guy for a couple of years. How I've coveted him, I'll keep very, very private. But yeah, I love it. He's still 26, so it's not, we're not getting a guy at 24 that you can sell on after 5 years if you need to anymore quite as easily. But we're getting a guy who's smack dab in the middle of his prime, has done nothing to slow down his production in the last 2 years. I don't care what kind of competition it's against, like some people do. But no, I'm thrilled about it. And I'm most thrilled about it getting done before the team leaves for preseason. That makes a big difference to me.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the fact that we've signed 2 starting 11 players in July or before July is outstanding. And
only 9 more to go.
Seriously, but there's that big debate of, and the reason I asked you your initial thoughts is because there are some in our fan base who could just never be happy, and they're going on about how Giroud is a better player. And if you look at the minutes per goal between the two of them, Lacazette 134 minutes per goal combined to Giroud's 100 minutes per goal, but we're also hearing a lot about Giroud being the starter with France. And, if you look at how France line up, tactically they play with a target man. So it makes sense for Giroud to be that starting player. This is an upgrade. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's a striker we've been looking for since RVP left. And so it's great to actually be able to say we have a world-class striker up front. And if you look at the company in which he keeps, he's on a list for Golden Boot behind Messi, Ronaldo, Cavani, Aubameyang, and Dzeko.
I had no idea Dzeko had such a good season last season.
Roma did really well. But Mike, that's an incredible list to be on, and he's the youngest of all those players by 3 years.
Yeah,
and he was slightly ahead of Suarez and Kane on that list. And so, a lot of people say, well, it was just the French league. Well, so Cavani's not a good enough player. Ibrahimovic isn't a good enough player. I mean, there's a lot of great players that have come out of the French league. And so you don't think he's going to play well against the likes of Watford, Newcastle? I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I would say he's world class. When you talk about world class strikers, it's just, there's the judgment test and the familiarity test, and maybe it's the lack of familiarity that does it. But I don't know that I would put him in the same class as Lewandowski or the obvious the Messi, those guys. But I certainly would put him in a class with some guys who are getting listed as, hotter properties this summer, like Morata, for instance. I definitely think, and I think within a year or two of good production for Arsenal, he could join that group and be considered world class.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's definitely a good consolation prize if we couldn't reach out and get Edin Dzeko from Roma and burn out his mid-30s. But he's an upgrade to Giroud if it had to be one between one of the two. But I really hope that it's not considered an update to Alexis. Because that's the concern.
Yeah, and there's so many. You're starting to hear like rumors out of Chile now saying that he is looking to extend for 3 more seasons, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But hey, Mike, we have to make signings to keep the likes of Sanchez and Ozil. Yep. And this is step 1. It's not that we're done. I mean, we have to sign 2 or 3 more players. The Ornstein Oracle said today that this is the start. We are still looking at other players. If we're linked with Mahrez, Lamar, those type of players, they're players that are going to add to this team. I think the most recent news of Cazorla being out for God knows how long,
I think it's 6 years that they said it was going to be.
Seriously, right? So that dude's basically just wrapped for next season. So we do need to look at central midfield. But then you look at our central midfield, and we're just so heavy. Elneny, Coughlin, Ramsey, Jack apparently is coming back for the season. There's a lot of dead wood that needs to be cleared out.
I think
dead wood for sure. One of them's Theo.
And if you wait too long to clear out the dead wood, it hampers your ability to bring in the live wood, which I think is what Alexis, presumably needs to see in order to feel more comfortable, not only about, okay, I'll play out my contract. That doesn't help me at all. Him saying I'll stay for this year, because he's legally bound to.
Right.
So it's about losing him. It's about losing him next summer. I mean, I need to see an extension. So that 3-year rumor, I don't put much stock in that. But it'd be nice if he put pen to paper for an extension and said, I'm going to be part of the revitalization here, rather than like standing here like a judge and seeing if it's gone well enough. And if things start to come off the tracks a little bit in November, December, he's still going to start agitating for a pre-contract someplace else and just completely tank our entire season. So, there's still a lot to be learned. Let's not go sucking each other's dicks over Skype quite yet. Did you know they added that as a feature, by the way?
I did not.
Yeah,
and I'm really not happy about that.
There's a little button
with
that you can
being
add.
on the other end. But let's go back to Laka for a second. So we've been critical on this podcast about players at the Arsenal, but I really hope that we hold on to Giroud, because he is a very valuable player for us to have. He's the type of player where if you have a tactically sound manager, you go into Stoke with possibly Giroud being your target guy up front. Can we utilize both of them in the same team? Hell yeah, we can.
Yes.
And we've got the players around him. You've got Welbeck, you've got Lucas, you've got the Ox, you've got Theo if he stays, where you can add speed and pace, around these two players. So hopefully we do remove some of that dead wood. I'm hopeful that Lucas isn't one of those, because I still feel like he's got some stuff to add to this team, especially because we're going to go deep in Europa. But Lacazette...
I'm going to go deep in Europa.
Lacazette last season, Mike, was amongst the top top 5 leagues in Europe. He had the second best chance conversion rate. That's outstanding. As a striker, that's simply outstanding.
That's hot. And if you add in the
number
other
one
leagues,
would be Ronaldo or Messi.
If you leave the other guys in there, the other leagues, not just the top 5, I mean, is there anyone in the Belgian Jupiler League or the Serbian Superliga that has a better chance conversion rate? Because, I mean, I think it would be more impressive if it was number 2 out of the top 30 leagues.
There's just some asshole that just
came in, did one shot the whole season and made it. It's 100% conversion rate.
Yeah. That's why we leave out the Serbian Superliga, Mike.
I agree about Giroud. Someone asked us late in the season, and if you could only bring back one of a handful of players, I think Welbeck, Walcott, maybe Lucas was in there. Who would you pick to bring back? And I said Giroud, and I still think Giroud. I know he's older than the other guys. I know he's very controversial, but I mean, don't sell him to Everton or to Marseille for $20 million and let him score bags of goals there because of the way that those teams are going to use him. I mean, he's a game changer, literally. Use him as a plan B. He wants to stay here. At least he says he does. And he's never said, I want to stay here if I'm guaranteed to start.
Right.
I'm sure he's not thrilled about being a plan B and coming off the bench in the 60 or 70th minute, or knowing Wenger the 78th minute. But use him as a plan B. Lacazette could get hurt. I hate to say it. It's happened to a few Arsenal players in the past. And, you don't get scared. You don't scare other teams by bringing off Lacazette in the 70th minute of a tie game and bringing on, Welbeck. Or Lucas. I mean, you don't frighten them and force them to play differently. But with Giroud, you do. Yeah. So sell any of those other 3 guys for 15 or 20 million. I'll be sad to see them go, except for Theo. But just don't get rid of Giroud. Not this year. Give him one more year and see how it goes.
Yeah, and I wouldn't get rid of Welbeck. I think he brings a lot to the team on and off the pitch. I just think he's one of those players that the other players really like. I think his work rate is exceptional.
I agree. It would be hard. It would be harsh on him to get rid of him over other people.
It seems more than likely we'll ship Theo, and there's been a lot of buzz about West Ham coming in for him. And then I could see the likes of Lucas going off on loan. But, you got to look at Joel Campbell still at the club.
How is that possible?
Exactly. Then you've got to look at, the Ox is in one of those unique
I think
situations.
I'm associated with Arsenal more than Joel Campbell is at this point.
Maybe.
And I'm not associated with Arsenal at all.
Maybe, but he's still an Arsenal player. And so do we sell him to a Portuguese team, or we've got a lot of deadwood, as you said, and we need to make some moves. But hey, back to Lacazette, because last season he scored 28 goals, and that was just in the league, 37 in total. But just in the league, Mike, that's more goals than Giroud, Theo, Welbeck, and Ozil combined. So we are bringing in a natural goal scorer.
Because Theo's goals were all in cups, I think, for the most part.
They pretty much were, yeah. Yeah, and let's not forget, Theo scored a fair amount of goals last season, but
he got 19, I think 11 in the league. But yeah, I mean that is impressive, I'm excited. But I mean, there's a lot of work. We still got to bring everybody in, be in sync with each other about the direction of the players. I'm just really trying to hold back about getting too excited about signing one player, even though there are some unique elements to this signing that aren't like in years past. There's kind of an Ozil and an Alexis feel to it, but there's still those 3 big time contracts running out next summer, and there's still the problematic. Will he, won't he type of thing with Alexis, but as for today, I'm pleased as fuck.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Did you see the always creepy picture of Lacazette signing his contract?
Yes.
Would it be too much to ask to get the manager a chair next to the guy?
I know, right?
He isn't leaning over him like I lean over a fucking ribeye steak that just came off the grill. I mean, he looks like he's getting ready to pounce, and he's you can see the saliva dripping off his lips, and it's just creepy.
Yeah, it was a little bit strange, but, it's that picture that everyone wants to see. But, Mike, you had mentioned that getting the players in sync is really important, and I think that's part of the package of bringing him in early. He gets to go on this preseason tour. He gets to build that relationship with Ozil. He gets to kind of build that relationship with let's say it at the moment, Theo is still an Arsenal player. He's going to be representing quite a bit probably on preseason. So it's a unique opportunity for us to see a player of this caliber join us this early where they get to go on this preseason tour. And if rumor has it, we've got, a week to 10 days before the boys leave, and they want to bring in 1 or 2 more signings before they head out?
Their first game is a week from tomorrow. In Australia, so I mean they've got to be leaving in the next 3 or 4 days. I would think
so. You would think so, but
one more comment about that picture that I just thought of.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing a picture of Wenger hovering and standing over Lucas last year when he signed, which I think just proves the point that those two people have never met each other. I mean they've never been in the same room. It's
convenient that Lucas's 4 games he played for Arsenal is when Boldy was manager.
Yeah, I think that actually happened. So.
Oh, shit.
I do love those pictures, though. They are uber creepy.
Anything else you want to mention about Laga before we move on?
Yeah. I know what the obvious number or answer to this should be, but what do you think? They've gone a pretty long time after his announcing his signature without announcing a number, and a lot of that likely has to do with some of the deadwood that may or may not need to be cleared out. But if it's number 9, is he cursed? And what's the precedent for giving a guy that number when there's still a guy who's technically still a first team, not even a squad or reserve player, a first team player? Your club's already got it. Same with 10.
Yeah, it's a weird one because, I know over here in the States, if a player joins a team, they can ask for the number, and sometimes it's a monetary thing, right? So you hear about it in the National Football League, Mike, and that's American football for our listeners overseas. But a player will come in from college and pay another player to get their number. I think that it makes sense for him to take number 10 because at the moment number 10's open because Jack left on
who
loan.
wants that though.
But then Mesut wants it as well. So yeah, it's interesting. I think the ideal number that he takes is 14.
That's what I was going to say. Frankly, I would just take 14, and if it pisses off Theo and he demands a transfer, oh man. I mean,
yeah. Oh.
And then if he doesn't go anywhere and he stays, he could just wear a picture of a fucking coffee machine on his back.
Well, I was about to say, like, if it's on a bartering system, if Lacazette just shows up to training tomorrow with a fucking, what's one of those George Clooney.
The grills?
No, not that's George. Oh, Foreman,
George Clooney,
idiot.
The George Clooney grill. No, that's a really handsome grill.
Those what the fuck are they called?
Comes out looking like a model.
The George Clooney Nespressos. If he brings in one of those fancy Nespresso things, maybe Theo would just give him the number.
Funny that you pointed out George Clooney rather than Danny DeVito, who I believe also stars in those.
He does star in those commercials. He does.
Not quite as memorable.
Danny DeVito. So anyway, Mike, great signing. Let's go on to the less talk about signing, but also superb. Is it Kolasinac? The Kolasinac?
Oh my god! It's
Kolasinac.
Isn't there like Mr. McSixaplex or something in some sci-fi? Somebody will know what that means. But yeah, no, I'm not even going to try to say it. It's SK. SK.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, so SK
because SK also makes me think about hot dogs, it's a big famous brand of hot dogs. So I'm going to call them SK.
Now, are those kosher?
I don't care. Clearly.
So
did you follow my exploits in Germany during Passover?
He was signed on a free from Schalke. He's a left back, and the reason why in the beginning of the pod I said that he was easily a starting 11 player was, Mike, he was in Bundesliga's team of the season, which is not an easy feat, considering you're beating out the likes of an Alaba. And it's weird to me that we got him on a free, but it's an absolutely great signing, and I think it pushes Gibbs out of the club, and I think it's going to push Nacho for that position, and I'm super excited to see this guy because he just looks like he's a fucking beast of a human, and I cannot wait for him to just fucking 2-foot Harry Kane.
Now he's a wing back as opposed to a left-sided defender guy.
Yeah.
So if we do play three in the back, he's most likely going to be kind of where Nacho was as opposed to on the left side of the back line, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, and he's built like a tank, like you said. I mean, his
Kaboosh! Breaks Kane's legs.
All those pictures of him yesterday in his warm-ups and the comments about his legs. I mean, we're putting together a team of guys with some amazing bodies. I mean, that's so hot.
They should do a calendar.
In the immortal words of Paris Hilton, that's so hot.
All right. You know what's not hot, Mike? Our extravagant kit launches. Are we the only team that does these massive shut down part of London
or LA
to just basically show a red? I say this getting mine in the mail today, but just basically showing a red kit that we've changed minutely from last season.
Oh, you sold out and you bought one. I just saved some money. I took my kit from last season and just like taped on the collar that you get when you take your stuff to the dry cleaner. I just kind of stapled it on, and now I feel like I have a new kit. I can't slate the kit launches too bad because I took those guys for about $400 in Top Shelf Liquor last year in California. So I do appreciate that they threw an extravagant party, but yeah, I mean, we kind of blow our whole wad of doing things, in the most flashy way in July. It's fine. I don't care. Apparently it was an annoyance to people in King's Cross, I think, that day.
Probably.
We're like that dude. Our kit launches are like that dude in the Raiders of the Lost Ark that's like whips out the machete and starts doing all this razzle dazzle and shit. And then Indiana Jones
shoots him.
Yeah, he's basically like Chelsea, just takes out his gun and shoots him. I mean, it's like I'd rather spend my focus and effort on other things and just kind of put the kits out there to buy. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy their kit release last summer.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy that, Andy?
Fuck you. I was having, I had dinner next to Freddie Lynchburg that night. Here's the thing: if we're gonna do a massive kit launch like that, let's do it releasing like a brand new player. I mean, we spent 10 days building up Lacazette. Why do we not just fucking release the kit on him?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have taken SK
just
to that
send him
launch.
walking down the street in London in the new kit and then wait for people to start realizing what it means.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just I can't stand that we're a club that has to have 3 kits, and we change the kits. I remember back in the day when one kit would be there for 2 seasons. And now it's a thing every year. And
back in the day, I'm pretty sure they probably had one kit for like 12 seasons back in the old day.
Well, yeah, but once it became more mainstream with the internets and what have you, we were still doing one home kit for 2 seasons. And I get it's a business, but fuck me, at least bring out a new player with the new kit. That's all I'm saying.
Because your kid's going to have absolutely nothing to wear because you're spending all your money on your own kits.
I know. Poor kid.
Can you imagine if instead of a player, though, they released the news of Wenger's new contract during the kit launch?
There'd be one sold.
Yeah. I mean, I already know of people. We have our good friend Rob in our group is on a kit. What does he call it? A kit. I mean, he refuses to buy a kit.
He's waiting for Mbappe.
Yeah, he's waiting until like his level of satisfaction of our team spending is there, which I think we're on our way to. But he's got a good point in doing that, and so there's people like that. But can you imagine the refusal of a whole group of people to buy a new kit that was released with Wenger sitting there in it?
Seriously. So let's talk about Wenger and
unless it was the banana one, a repeat of the banana one, then it would be okay.
They're waiting for just absolute the nuclear bomb to go off, and then they're going to release that kit. Here's the deal, Mike. We sold last summer Serge Gnabry. And now that motherfucker has went and signed for Bayern. Those sneaky fuckers have made us look like absolute mugs. Are we going to come back to regret letting him leave?
I don't think so. I mean, as long as we keep trying to upgrade. I mean, would you rather have Serge Gnabry or Riyad Mahrez, let's say?
If we sign Mahrez, then the answer is Mahrez. But at this point, we're not signing Mahrez. And at this point, Mike, we could have kept Gnabry and sold Theo and not only given a young player the opportunity to play and maybe impress, but you save a ton on wage bill.
Yeah.
And so
the wage, yeah.
Whatever £140,000 times 52 is, last season, that's just money that you have in the bank. And then if for some reason Serge does not show you during the season, hey, I'm a player that can handle it at this caliber level, which, obviously compared to Theo, that's a donkey could do that. But you could then turn around and say, well, we can buy Mahrez because we've saved this, £5-6 million that we haven't paid coffee maker motherfucker.
I've been going through some of our old pods recently. I've been reposting them to Twitter over the summer because, none of us have anything better to do. But there was a point in the season where the two of us really started to turn around on Theo. And then
because there was a point where he was actually scoring goals, and so it was hard to not slate him. But let's be honest, he's a fuck.
Well, getting back to Serge Gnabry, I'm not gonna really lose sleep over that one. I think he personally, it just made the Scott Sinclair to Man City mistake a little bit too early for the big time, and so for some guys you never recover from that. I don't know if he'll ever see a tremendous amount of field time on anything other than the DFB Pokal cup games. So, I just, when you join a stacked team like that before you're the finished product, I just think it doesn't really suit you. And those guys start sliding down the levels again until they finally find themselves in the second division team that they can make. So,
Well, it's a good shout. The Scott Sinclair type of analogy.
He was tearing it up for, I think, Swansea.
Yeah, no, he was. He made that City jump way too quickly. So, Mike, we sit here July 5th. We've got 2 great signings, which total of 52 million pounds, which is absolutely superb. If you could make one or two signings, and let's be realistic here, who are you signing? And you have reins to do it in the next 10 days before Australia. Who do you think we could bring in?
When you say realistically, I'm assuming you're ruling out a Kylian Mbappe Lotin. I like to have the last name on there because it makes you look like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Learned that from our friend Chris. And that Lamar character appears to be unrealistic. They've just slapped a price tag on him that's basically saying, we're not selling him. So if we rule those guys out, I would kind of go with one player who we're being heavily linked with is Mahrez, and I see him as an upgrade to Theo basically on that right side, and would like to see him played in that position if we sign him. So that would be one. The other, probably less likely because from all accounts he's finally settled in at Real Madrid, but that would be Isco. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going anywhere. But even bigger than the before I ask you which ones you want to sign, the bigger battle is, like I said, re-sign Ozil, re-sign Chambo, make Bellerin just get off this thing where one day we find out he says that he doesn't want to go to Barcelona, and then the other day he says he does. Declare your loyalty one more time, just so that I'm comfortable with it. Sell Debussy, Jenko, Wilshere, Coquelin, or El Neni, one of the two. Lucas, Campbell, Theo Walcott. Clear out and put in the effort that we need to build a winning team, and then come back to Alexis and say, look, is it about money or is it about effort? Because we've made the effort. Now let's pay you a lot of money, $300,000, and if he says 400, like I've heard in the news today, then he can fuck off too.
Yeah, I agree with you. Deadwood needs to move. I think that we should keep Wilshere. I think we should keep El Neni. We brought in this new, apparently he's the world's best fitness and medical coach, according to some. And so
it's the third straight summer that we've done that, I think.
But this guy has got the absolute track record and resume to match. And so bring him in and let him work with Jack and see if Jack is just purely made of glass, or does it take just a pure out-and-out medical professional to say, Jack, this is what you need to do to get to that next level. Because Jack, healthy, is the obvious replacement for Santi. When you see the two of them play, it's just like the absolute replacement. But again, he needs to stay healthy. So we see what happens.
I hate to say this, but I think not only his health concerns, but he's almost a tie to an era of failure that, with him around, I hate to say this because he is Mr. Arsenal. I thought he was a future captain. It's just kind of this tie to the not quite good enough, not quite living up to expectation days that we're clearly.
But Mike, what if we saw a 35 match Jack Wilshere? I don't think you would be able to say that. I think we tie him to the failure because we look and see how often he, Theo, Rambo, and I'm going to say the Ox, even though the Ox last year, and now it's a good example, right? Look how good the Ox was last year when we got 30-plus games out of him. We all got to see that player where you see 3 or 4 matches where he was great, and then maybe 1 or 2 where he wasn't so much. But you expect that out of a young player. So I'm just saying, if we see Jack play 30-plus matches, I think that, and I agree with you, but I think we start seeing a different Jack. I think we start saying, okay, this is the expectation. You could get Theo healthy for 30 games. He might score 19 goals, but the next season, if he's healthy for 30, he's only going to score 5.
Well, and likewise with Wilshere, though, if you want to see him play 30 or 35 games for Arsenal, you're displacing the signing of somebody who might, otherwise have improved the team.
Why not sign him? Do you think Madrid, when Gareth Bale came in, they said, "Oh, we got to clear a bunch of dead wood"? No. Look what happened. You said Isco. Everyone thought the moment that Bale came in, right? And now I know Ozil was part of the domino effect there, and he just didn't fit into the tactics. But Isco was one of those players where everyone thought he's not going to play. Look what happened, dude. He stepped up his game. And so I say get rid of some of that deadwood like the Coquelins.
There's 2 of them?
It might be ready for us in time to say, Santi, it'd probably be better for you to be a player coach. Okay? But give Wilshere another season or two, fully fit, and then bring in a player. And to answer the question, I would definitely bring in Mahrez, and I'd ship off Theo. He's an absolute game changer. And everyone who says he's not that good, he was player of the season 2 seasons ago when he was on a team that were playing really well. Imagine him playing on an Arsenal or Chelsea. I mean, he's going to be fucking incredible, right? And then I don't know why there's a big relationship with you and this guy, but I'd bring in a Carvalho type of player, and that's where I'd get rid of a Coughlin Elneny. And he is going to be that defensive midfielder that's just going to be the fucking brick wall. We all thought
my Carvalho thing goes back to the U21 World Cup a couple years ago. He missed the final penalty for Portugal against Sweden. It was saved and Sweden won the World Cup, the U21s. And I was joking with my boys that, because we were linked with him at the time. So I just started joking about how awful he was in the big moments, and there's no way we should sign him. I think I was like, you gotta sign, who was that bozo, Schneiderlin that we were linked with, which shows how much I know about football. But, so that was kind of a joke, but my dream was to see him in another penalty shootout. And I thought we were going to get it in the Confederations Cup last week because Portugal ended up in a shootout, but he never got his chance. I was devastated. I actually don't think he's a bad player at all. I think if anything, he's in that same mold as I guess kind of like a Wanyama type, where he might not be the most skillful guy. He might not even be Xhaka in the sense of his distribution. I don't know, but but he's going to be a hard guy to get past. So I slate him as a joke, not because I think he sucks. We
need these type of Lacazette signings where they make a difference to our team. There's no question who's going to be our starting striker at the beginning of this season. That's the type of signing we need where there's no question. And
Finally.
And you see the type of player like Giroud. Giroud sees that and probably thinks, well, that sucks. But Giroud will also show up the first day of training and bust his ass. Welbeck will do the same, and that's what we need in this squad. One signing that we've just recently made, Mike, that doesn't affect us on the pitch but will affect us off is we bring back Mad Jans Lehmann. Little bit of confusion if he's a goalkeeping coach, if he's just going to be part of the coaching squad. Whatever it is, it's a great signing because he's not going to take shit. He will let players know when they're playing like shit, and he's going to bring some tenure to this team, and he's going to be part of that passion for Arsenal and the Invincible group.
Yeah, another link to those days where most links to those days have been rebuffed in coming back to the squad. I'm surprised by this one, especially because he doesn't seem like one to toe the line in a way that Stevie Bold is seemingly being encouraged to. I do feel like he would speak out, and from what I'm hearing from my high level sources, which is anyone who has a Twitter account, that he's not just being brought back to be a goalkeeper coach. We already have a hated, horrible goalkeeper coach that's driving keepers away. He's there just to be a general kind of first team coach. So, another good guy to have around the dressing room.
It is.
Combine him with Mertesacker. Maybe you got Santi, and I don't see Santi in that same kind of leadership way. But there are some changes behind the scenes that are happening, and we'll see how much of a difference they make.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to go on to a new feature called Andy's Musings.
I'm so excited for this new segment.
No,
this is gonna break records.
Just two funny things that I read online. And so, Mike, there was a team in Spain, Soriano B's U11s, who beat a team 25-0. They beat a team that's a Valencia-based club, Ben I Calap C. And after the 25-0 thrashing... You
were just made for the media, by the way.
I know. The manager...
Enunciation.
The manager of the winning team got dismissed. because apparently the club believe in encourage and respect for your opponents. And after that result, they decided the manager should leave. And I just thought, that would never happen in America. Like, if you could beat a team 25-0 at youth level, they're going to be like, do it every day of the week.
Oh, I don't know. my son's team.
Hey, I'm a youth coach, and I would never do it. But I'm just saying that, like, you would not get fired for that. You would get reprimanded, or maybe, hey, let's not go 25. Let's keep it at 20.
It is one of the most uncomfortable.
22. Let's keep it at 22.
It's one of the most uncomfortable things, though, when you're like a parent on the sideline and all the other parents on the sideline of the other team, and it's 8-0 in the first half, and they get the word from the coach to just start passing the ball around and not shoot it unless like it's turned over to you and you're standing right in front of the goal. Because that's almost, I mean, like, what's more insulting if you're just getting your ass kicked than like having to keep picking the ball up into the back of your net, or stand there and run your ass off because they're just passing back and forth and like everything's there except for the parents going, ole, ole.
Well, I'll tell you this: if as a coach who's been on both sides of a big win and being thrashed,
a small win.
If you're a good coach and at halftime you're up 5 or 6-0, the first thing you do is you move your girls around. So your forwards go into defense, your defense go up front, and that, or you move players around, right? And then it says, hey, every 6 passes we can take a shot. Because at that point, you're still working the ball and you're getting your training in. But when you have a defender playing up front, the shot's not going to likely be on target. It's not going to look great. But anyway, that's one of Andy's musings. There's 2. Okay.
Well, hold on, because it's this whole sportsmanship is very selectively applied, because I don't remember hearing a single news story about Carlo Ancelotti being fired by Bayern after our second Champions League game against them in March.
Right.
So, I mean, if there was a time for sportsmanship and to penalize the guy for being too ruthless, that was it. Complete lack of respect.
Seriously, he should have been canned.
Should have been canned. 10-2. It's just ridiculous.
Mike, I know that we are coming up on a year of friendship. Believe it or not, for all of our listeners who think, man, these guys have a rapport that goes back to the days of yore.
We're coming up on a year of knowing each other. I wouldn't say a year of friendship. No, I'm kidding. Yes. But we were fast friends right off the bat.
I will say that I don't know a lot about you, but I do know 2 things. Your love of football and your love of porn. Did you know, Mike, that there's a team called Washington Square FC? They're amateur-based. They're from Brookline, Massachusetts. And they have teamed up with the porn website RedTube to be the sponsor on their kits. Fucking genius.
Oh, George, you got to get right on that. George from Boston, not too far from Brookline. Please be our man on the ground. Yep, negotiate whatever deals you have to negotiate so that we can be the exclusive podcast or porncast or whatever we want to be called for that team, because that, I mean, really, I mean, all we're missing is like a couple of slices of bacon put on each of the players.
Seriously, essentially, I envision the whoever the owners of those club or the manager of that club just went to RedTube and said, "Hey, man, give us one premium login. And you're on all of our kits."
Money for the deal.
No, they're just getting porn.
Everyone that goes to their game has to wear a condom in order to get in, even if you're a chick. Sorry, chicks, but yeah, I mean, there's that. I've just learned this in the last 30 seconds, but I think we could do an entire podcast on how great this development is.
Yeah, I knew you'd like it.
I'm waiting for the Tube Galore DC United partnership to take place when we move into our new stadium next year. But
you know, Mike, I read that story about 2.5 weeks ago, so I've been holding on to it.
You've been holding on to it for 2.5 weeks. You have incredible endurance.
Yes, I do. And, I'm made for that. I'm made for that Washington Square FC. But no, George, you're on the ground. We want kits. And
by the way, is it a men's team or a women's team?
It's a men's team.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what's coming up, Mike?
Well, as we mentioned before, we got the summer tour is coming. Mm-hmm. Last year they came to California, and a great time was had by all. This year they're going all the way around the world to Australia. We do know a few people who are making the trip. Some American Arsenal supporters, some British Arsenal supporters, and others are making that ridiculous trip to Australia and China. But I'll take a pass on that one and wait till next year. But But yeah, they play 2 games next Thursday and Saturday against a couple of Sydney teams. Then they play these crap-ass Sunday League teams in China the following week. I don't know or care who those games are against. We're going to steamroll those guys.
We will, both of them,
because it's some team from Germany and then some team we have a rematch against a couple weeks later. And then it's the all-important Emirates Cup. It's a chance for us to win our second out of 3 trophies in a row against Benfica and Sevilla. And then the Community Charity Shield at Wembley on the 6th of August. Now, will you be in London for the Community Shield?
I will not. I arrive on the 7th. And hopeful that the home fixture against Leicester is moved to Friday. My sister did some stupid family gathering on Saturday, so I can't go to the match against Leicester. But if they move it to Friday, then I'll be able to attend.
You may be able to hold it for 2.5 weeks, but your pimp hand is as weak as shit if you couldn't have figured out a way to make this trip work. And if you go all the way over there and don't see a single game when they're playing 2 in London.
You know what sucks though, Mike, is I'm going to be there for the first 3 matches, and the next 2 are in Stoke and Liverpool, and which are the furthest distance from where my family lives. But hopeful that match against Leicester is moved to Friday night, and then I will be able to attend and hopefully meet up with a bunch of our new friends. But at this point, it's not looking good on this trip, and not happy about that.
Well, you and I will have to go back in the springtime then. When
we will, when
I renew my lease with my wife, who I'm still paying off the trip I went over there last year as far as emotional and financial considerations. But maybe this spring it'll happen. But so what are you expecting to see out of this summer? I mean, you'll be watching, won't you? You'll be finding a legal stream somewhere.
Well, and you know what? I don't know what the situation this summer is, but it seems in the past, and obviously that last summer we don't know because we were actually at the matches, but usually the preseason games are shown on Arsenal Media Player. So if they're somewhere to be watched, but for me, I think that it would be nice to see some of those fringe players get some playing time. We have had a lot of players that haven't been playing in international, so Gibbs, Wilshere, Welbeck, Ozil, so we'll be able to see some of the first-team players. But honestly, just get through this preseason without big injuries. Like you said, let's try and get these players meshed and gelled and synced. Let's try some new formations. Let's play 3 at the back. Let's play 4 at the back, and we'll kind of see where we go from there.
Try all sorts of new positions.
Yeah.
Let's get some variety.
Let's see what Gibbs can do as a left midfielder. Let's see what Welbeck does, on the right. Let's kind of see what's going on. But so, Mike, I'm reading right now that it sounds like Jack reported back for training today, but contract talks have broken down. So there's hope they can be picked up again. The plan is to reintegrate Jack back into the team, give him a lot of Europa League fixtures to build up his match fitness, and then hopefully get him to sign on for a new deal. Did you enjoy the sounds of a pork rind being eaten while you were talking about Jack Wilshere? Are you on the keto diet?
Yeah, no carbs whatsoever. So if I want something to chew on,
it's just like a fancy way of saying Atkins diet.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because that dude died, so I don't want to call it that.
How did he die? From eating too much meat?
No, he actually slipped and fell on ice. But all the haters were like, "No, that kid, he died of a heart attack."
Mike, there's 3 things I know about you: your love of football.
You've just learned another
the porn, and then I forgot the 3rd thing is how much you love sausage.
Thank you very much. You just caught me with one in my mouth. All right. The summer has not changed us clearly, but we are speaking. So you can hear all those kinds of jokes and more if you listen to the review of our first season. If you just started listening, or if you are addicted to torturing yourself and self-mutilation, you can listen to our early podcast where maybe you hadn't joined up with us yet. I'm posting a podcast a day between now and the Community Shield, so check out our Twitter at Gooners in USA for updates and highlights. And we got maybe one more podcast we might do over the summer, and then it's season number 2, Andy?
Yeah, well, yeah, I know that we're going to try something new, and if it works, we'll post it. If it doesn't, well, shit, we won't. But if we sign 2 or 3 more players, maybe we'll do another pod. But it's good to hear your voice, Mike. It's we shouldn't keep it at 3 weeks again. We should talk sooner.
No, well, if we can sign, yeah, like you said, if we sign a new player, we'll get on a podcast. If you don't, then we'll just still get on a podcast. But yeah, it's been too long. Looking forward to big season number 2, and come on, you Gooners.